Hello, everybody, and welcome to Maximum Libertarian's podcast. I am Brian, and if you will, please go over to MaximumLibertarian.com. There you will find all of the ways you can help me support this brand, help grow this brand, and all that good stuff. So, what has this week brought us? Well, we ended last week with Joe Biden and so many people being so proud to deliver cluster bombs to Ukraine, a weapon that Russia, United States, and Ukraine have not signed that treaty not to use because of, let's just go over it real quick. When the cluster bomb goes off, there's a number of bombs that don't detonate, and they're called duds, and then they're just laying all over the place, and then it will injure civilians, especially children, it says. But be it here or there, the Joe Biden administration believes that's a good thing to have us do that, to give this weapon of war to them. Okay, so NATO has a little get together. They're trying to bring Ukraine in. That's just an act of war. Because, see, I've always been under the impression that Donald Trump was supposed to be the one who led us to war. Anyone, well, it's not even Donald Trump. It's just anyone other than a Democrat was supposed to lead us to war. But the senile Joe Biden has made sure to double down, to get us closer to war with his incompetence, and the voters that voted for him should be ashamed of themselves. Bottom line, this man is leading us into a terrible direction. Now, we can have a discussion about Donald Trump too, because I didn't vote for that man either, but we can still have a discussion about him, and I would have never voted for him. But on the surface of just this war, Joe Biden is just walking down this wonderful path to World War III that, of course, the media said, well, that's what Donald Trump, he gets the nomination, he's got the finger on the button, and he's going to lead us to war. So, with the election coming up, let's hear from Morning Judge Mika and she'll describe how she's sick and tired of how the mainstream media has to prop this old fool up, and his handlers need to get better at doing it. So, let's go over to Mika Brzezinski telling the mainstream media telling his handlers what they should do.
So do a better job, because you can't have these video images of the president tripping or the president going the wrong way. It's not going to work in this presidency because his age is going to be a factor. His age is going to be a factor, and it's your job to make sure he gets from one place to another.
So Mika should take a note from herself and do a better job in exposing this war criminal, Joe Biden, because he's leading us down a dark path with a lot of his stuff. Just talking about the war, it's a dark path. Not talking about his ideas that he want to do here at home, which he's been implementing, which is going to kill those that he loves, supposedly. The poor and middle class, because, he's blue-collar Joe. Another thing that's happened this week, the Biden administration has decided to order 3,000 reservists to be ready for Europe deployments. Now, the idea, from my understanding and everything that I've heard and read, is that they're going to go over there and train. And they're trying to sell this as if no American soldiers will be in harm's way. We're just training these fine folks in Ukraine. And right now it says President Biden has authorized the military to call up 3,000 reserve troops to support operations in Europe after tens of thousands were sent there last year after Russia's invasion, a top general said. At this time, they're not sure if our, wonderful defense secretary, Lloyd Austin, who I just want to reiterate, he was the CEO of Raytheon, I believe. They canceled an order. This is while Trump was in office, right before he got out. Then Lloyd Austin becomes the defense secretary. He was Raytheon. And all of a sudden, that order gets reinstated. So, crisis diverted. Raytheon still got their money. But they're not sure if Lloyd Austin is going to deploy these reservists anytime soon. And it's the U.S. military training mission in Europe, along with the deployment of several other new brigades after the invasion, has stretched active duty forces. Now, if you look back at past videos that I was talking about, we now have veterans telling their kids and people, don't go into the service. We've got active duty who are saying, don't go into the service. And these guys are hell-bent on making sure that we need people called up, yet the recruiting stations cannot meet the requirements that they set for themselves. The Navy was down by 10,000. I believe it was the Army was down by something like 15,000. Air Force was down. Every one of them was down. But they keep the war machine going. So I don't know what their plan is, honestly. But when you have the vets now coming out saying don't go in. Now, my personal belief is veterans should start speaking up. The active duty guy can't speak. They're there. They got to do the job. You've got to be the voice of the voiceless. And when we have garbage like this getting sent down the pipe, we need to be the ones out front saying, no, stop this. If you look at, I went in 2000 to 2006. So I was there for Operation, Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom and all that stuff. We're going to just play that everything before 2000 wasn't a lie. But in reality, I have to pretend it wasn't a lie. Vietnam veterans got screwed over. If you look in the way Korea, if you look at World War II, if you look at World War I, everything going back, it's always these top leaders, if you want to call them that, and we can use Lindsey Graham or Joe Biden. They gladly will send us to war, but they won't be there. Now, I know Lindsey Graham was an officer. I can't say supposedly he was. But so was John McCain. That motherfucker was a POW, and you think he would want to not go to war, but he kept the war machine going and meeting with ISIS, but pretending he was because ISIS was in there with Syria. But, hey, who am I, right? But we got to end this war machine, and I think veterans need to be the first ones to be the most outspoken, and we've got to also be knowledgeable on what we're talking about. You can't keep sending kids overseas having their missing limbs, having their brains scrambled, coming home, and then going, well, go get a job, get an active duty, or just go be part of civilian your community. No, their PTSD's going crazy, and we've got to fix this problem, and it's only up to the veteran and their families. So start speaking out. The cluster bombs, Joe Biden, war crime. Okay, bottom line. Once that first bomb hits, war crime, in my opinion. It's probably already a war crime just sending it over there, but hey, nothing's happened yet, so if I own a gun and no one gets shot, it can't charge me with shooting somebody. So But with the way that you're seeing, the way they're trying to recruit, because the military, sorry to let everyone know this, is you've got to be ready to go, physically fit, mentally tough. And it sucks sometimes, I get it. And I know we have a whole walk of life in there. That's why I love being in the military, because I've met people from Africa, Ireland, all parts of the United States, different races, different religions. And that was really, really cool. But, yeah. But the way that they're trying to promote it is, you can't promote it with drag queens. I'm sorry. You're not going to do it. And I know that there's drag queens in the military that I probably served with, and that was fine. But you still got to have, when you come to work, you got to be in the uniform. If you sign up for it, you know what you're doing. That was like now. Back in the day when you got when you got drafted and you went, all right, I'm a conscientious observer. Okay, you can sell me on that because you didn't want to go to war. You would have never signed up to go to war. But now this is a all volunteer armed forces, and you can't come in going, all right, I'm a conscientious observer. I don't want to go to war. You know what you're signing up for. You didn't have to sign up. So if, whatever community you're part of, you know what you're signing up for. Sorry to let you know that. And you can't really just join and go, well, that's how I feel. And, well, that's what I'm going to do. And change the whole system. The system cannot bend. And because of the way that they're allowing it to go, I think it's some of the reasons why we're having issues in the military itself. But that alone is not the cause of what's not having people go in. It's 20 years of war. It's and then you go to Afghanistan. You fight. You might have lost a limb. Got PTSD. You've seen your brothers and sisters die, get injured. And then 20 years later, they pull out and they go, hey, you remember the guys we were fighting, the Taliban? Well, we're going to work with the good Taliban. What the hell are we doing here? If that enraged me when I saw that. So, on to the next topic, I guess. On to this next topic. What is that? Well, in August, the wonderful BRICS Alliance will be meeting. It's August, I believe, 25th through the 28th in Johannesburg, South Africa. And right now, they're floating the idea of having a BRICS currency, which may be backed by gold. And when they do that, what they're going to do is replace the dollar. Now, I understand what you're saying. Is that a bad thing? Yes, it is a bad thing. The world reserve currency of the U.S. dollar, if we were to lose our world currency status, from my understanding, you're going to take a 25% haircut, everyone, in purchasing power. It's going to be harder to get loans. Interest rates are going to go through the roof. And we're not going to be able to back our we're not going to be able to back our debt with our debt, which is asinine to me. And but Robert Kiyosaki said the dollar's not going to die. This was from Bitcoin.com. And he released a tweet, and I just want to stress this. I released a little video about this, but he said that trillions of U.S. dollars will rush home. Inflation will go through the roof. He suggests to buy gold, silver, and Bitcoin, which he predicts Bitcoin will be $120,000 next year. All right, well, that'll be awesome. And he also spoke about, in this tweet, he said that the BRICS nations announced a a gold-backed crypto. Now, that's what I want to stress, crypto. I understand that the idea of Bitcoin is not is a decentralized form of spending money, supposedly. But when it comes to having a cashless society, no matter which cryptocurrency you're using, if the government that you're there, we can use China or Russia or United States. If they don't want something to be seen, they can shut down the internet. They can shut down that. They can also shut down, like I said, they shut down the internet. Now you're not going to be able to use your Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency you're planning on using. I believe if they do a gold-backed crypto, it's going to be strictly for control. I'm a member of many veteran organizations, and I believe that if I was to go down to a veteran organization, as I was just saying just a second ago, we should be given pushback to like cluster bombs sending 3,000 troops to war or over to Europe to train, wink, wink. If you get pushback from these organizations, then they're going to say, well, that's a terrorist organization, that's a extremist organization, blah, blah, blah. And I would not be able to use my currency there, my cryptocurrency. That's my biggest fear when it comes to a cashless society. And I do understand the idea of gold and silver. Now, I'm not by no stretch of the imagination, I do highly believe we should be using cryptocurrency, have a diverse thing, have a diverse portfolio. So definitely do that. But I think everyone should be sounding the alarm right now about the upcoming this meeting between the BRICS alliance, and because it's going to be bad news. And if they go through with this, now it's not going to happen. They're not going to say, all right, we got a new currency, and then they just flip over and it's automatically the currency. We better watch ourselves, because if we don't, we better start prepping ourselves as if they're going to do it. And I think they're going to do it. It's just looking that way. Out of the BRICS alliance, the only one that's kind of hesitant towards it is India. They said that they want to build their national currency, the rupee, make it stronger. It's also, they say that they're the only one that that the GDP is good and they don't need to depend on anybody else. Now, that being said, they also do trading with the West, such as Europe and the United States, and they don't want to affect getting billions of dollars in weapons and different other merchandise. So they're kind of hesitant there. What's going to happen, I'm afraid we're looking at, is we're going to try to force individuals to stay on the dollar. If you look at Gaddafi, when he was taken out by the wonderful Barack Obama, Nobel Peace Prize winner, of course, he was saying, from my understanding, he was wanting to use an African-backed currency to do the trading with, which I understand why. If you look at the dollar, if you look at the way the United States spends money like a drunken sailor, we are not prepared for this. So, all right. So that's it. That's really it. Be watching about BRICS, and it's going to be bad news when it happens, when it flips. What are they going to say? So, all right. Next, on to the next topic, which was the summit that Tucker Carlson had with all the Republican candidates, minus Donald Trump. But the one you got to see that was very interesting was Mike Pence ending his presidential campaign. Now, you can easily listen to it and say, hey, he meant to he was meaning this or he would mean that. But what happened was it was a soundbite. If you remember Howard Dean, who was leading the field in 2004, he got up on stage after, I believe, winning Iowa, maybe, or New Hampshire, and he yelled into the mic, "Yeah!" And by doing that, that became, and they had silenced the crowd, so they just had the microphone that he was talking in on. And so in turn, it came out sounding really weird. That little gaffe destroyed his campaign run. This little gaffe right here, I believe, destroyed the Mike Pence campaign run.
The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased. And yet, your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, like, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern. Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern.
So there was Mike Pence taking the airplane of his presidential campaign and running it into the side of a mountain. Congratulations, Mike Pence, for a job done, as Peterson said on Seinfeld. But at this event, you had Tucker Carlson interviewing multiple Republican candidates who seeking the nomination from the Republican Party. Now, I have my personal opinion of who I think would be the best out of that group. I would probably say Ramaswamy. I see he's gaining in the polls. He speaks well, and all that good stuff. That being said, he's still not going to get my vote, because as long as the Libertarians put up a good candidate, they've got my vote. So this brings me to the final point. One of the things that Larry Sharp, who I think is a terrific candidate, who's a terrific libertarian in the state of New York, he said there should be different checks that need to be done for individuals that are running for seeking the nomination from the Libertarians, and we can use this for any political party, but you have to be a Libertarian. That'd be one, or whichever political party. But throw them out. I don't care about them, because they already got what they. All right, number two, do you have a campaign staff? And can you fundraise? How much money have you brought in? You know, there were 6 things that he had listed, and it makes me wonder why the Republicans, because when you have a Chris Christie, he's never going to get the nomination. Mike Pence, he's never going to get the nomination. Ashton Hutchinson, never going to get the nomination. They're no different than Vermin Supreme running on the Libertarian side trying to get the nomination. Because this individual will go out, raise money, and then they will just never go nowhere, and then just move back into wherever they were living, and now they've got this money in their coffers. That's my question. When a Republican and Democrat run and they know they have 0 chance of winning, I know you go out there and you feel like you're going to win. I get that. But let's be honest. You can read the tea leaves, and Mike Pence was never going to go nowhere. Chris Christie was never going to go nowhere. But there's individuals that will give him money, and I don't know why. At least with the Libertarians, I don't give money to any candidate until I know that they're a serious candidate and they're going to be running. The problem that happens is Libertarians will fight Libertarians, and then we don't go nowhere because I'm more Libertarian than you. So in turn, I would rather lose the war. I want to lose the battle. I want to lose the fight in the media. I want to lose, keep single digit numbers. And then what we'll say, as long as we do that, then we'll be like, why aren't you out helping more? 10 years, I started in 2010 with the Libertarian Party. Back then, I would have put money. At this point, we would already have had a candidate in the House of Representatives. I just have this feeling. We were in a spot, people knew the Libertarian. If we would rally behind a good candidate, we could get them elected. But we want. See, people that say that they're a Libertarian, okay, will not vote for the Libertarian. Though I don't even know if they might not even vote. But they're like, we're not going to vote for Matt Waters for U.S. Senate. And I know this for a fact because I've heard them talk. And it's like, but the whole idea is we get them 10%. We get ballot access. Now we don't have to spend $30,000-$40,000 getting a candidate placed on the ballot. Then, with that being gone, I can go find better candidates that know that once they get onto that, if they accept the nomination, if they run on our behalf, the first $30,000-$40,000 can be straight advertisements. But we don't want to do that because, I'm more libertarian than you. Now, right now, we've got this infighting because just like the Republican Party and their infighting and the Democratic Party with their infighting, we've got also infights. So we've got the Mises Caucus and we're the real libertarians. And then you got the classical liberal caucus, which also has something to do, I don't know, but it seems weird that there's now a classical liberal party out there. So it's almost like, and so this state party is pretty much sucking resources from the Libertarian Party, and that group will not succeed. The Libertarians aren't succeeding. We've been here for over 50 years, and we can't get above single-digit numbers. Tell me how that is, because the voters have been beaten into believing voting third party is a wasted vote, even though they'll tell me how bad Congress is, they'll tell me how bad the president is, they'll tell me how bad whatever political party they're in, how bad they are. When I say, why don't you vote this way, they say, no way, no how. So you have a group that dissolved the Virginia Libertarian Party, dissolved several other these other groups around different states, tried to dissolve their party, and they're going to start their own party that's really libertarian, and they're not going to go nowhere either. Sorry to let you know, they were not brave, they were not special, they were cowards, they were chickens, because when the going got tough, they fucking tucked their tail and split, and it's disgusting. And I can tell you right now, the former chair and the former chair of the 6th District will always have an open invitation to come live to the Roanoke Valley Libertarian meeting and speak to us, because I got some questions for them. But what they would rather see is the Roanoke Valley Libertarians and any other affiliates wither up on the vine and die, and then pretend that I don't know what happened, I guess it's the Mises Caucus. No, it's because of you jackass. But if you look at the way that the Libertarians do, I know I'm walking down a different path now, but going back, I think Republicans have candidates that they should look at, and even the Democrats, are they a real serious candidate? Because if not, why are they running? And I would like to see us to have serious candidates, which I think we do have a couple. We've got Chase Oliver, we got Mike Tremont, and we've got Lars Mapstead. Right now, I think Jacob Hornsberger is going to be coming out, but I don't know. I haven't really seen much from him. But I got 3 guys on the docket that possibly could be okay candidates, but Libertarians have got to start sharing and liking their posts so that way people can see who they are. Last night on Tim Pool, you had the candidate running in North Carolina for governor, Shannon Bray, and he's they asked him about where's the Libertarian presidential candidates, and he just said Chase. He didn't say Chase Oliver. He didn't give anyone's name. And look, I get it. Don't want to endorse anybody. You don't have to endorse anybody. I share everybody's stuff because I'm not going to endorse anybody. I know who I like out of the group, okay? But let's be honest. If someone comes along and they're better, then, well, I need to make sure that my time is not wasted. And I don't want their time to be wasted, and nor do I want to waste my... And time is more precious than money. So, kids, I guess we've hit the 30-minute mark. And hopefully we will be a little bit more together on the next go. But please go over to MaximumLibertarian.com. It's where you'll see how you can help us. And, with the subscribing to the podcast on the different sites. Following us on Twitter and YouTube and Odyssey and all that good stuff. You got the links there. And so until next time, my friends, I am Brian. And I will see you later.